I can see clearly now the Shane has gone. The Undertaker spiked him right on his head. Gone all the sweat glands that could drown a cow. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Can you believe he wasn't on last night?
WTF! WTF!
Bon qui, je m'appelle Ross, Twitter.com, you're a sexual wank fizant, and welcome to all the WTF moments from last night's WWE Raw, an episode of Raw that was quite like an all-over body massage. The majority of it was sore. It wasn't very good, it was a bit tough to get through, but there was a couple of bits that were very nice, you know, when they get you behind your neck and you start twitching because they hit that spot, and then the happy ending at the end. You know what I mean? I mean, I've got to admit, I've never had a full body massage myself, but I've heard stories. So judging by the recap they showed for the Extreme Rules main event on last night's Raw, we are going to pretend Big Baldy Bastard Baron Corbin's end of days on Becky Lynch didn't happen. How on earth can we live in a world where WWE make those Saudi Arabia paid shows canon, but a professional wrestling move hit by a man to a woman is Chris Benoit? Surely, in my mind at least, one of those things has way more serious implications than the other one. WWE, if you are going to do intergender wrestling, please just do intergender wrestling. You cannot do something as monumental as Big Baldy Bastard Baron Corbin hitting his finisher on a woman and then pretend it doesn't happen less than a day later. Look at Brock Lesnar, the fat bastard, causing his new Universal Championship title belt to fall apart. It's busting at the bastard seams, that man. Brock, you there? You need one of two things, my friend. You either need the Muscle Man dance to be part of your fitness regime, or even better still, the Fat Man dance, because you, my friend, are a fat bastard. The soon-to-be-fired production team, Paul Heyman said. Now, he better not just be tickling our bollocks here, because in my humble opinion, Raw needs an overhaul from top to bottom in terms of production. It's looked the same, it's felt the same for way too long now. It needs to go off in one direction, SmackDown Live needs to go off in a different direction, both shows need their own unique identity, and I hope that is what Paul Heyman was getting at there. Top 10 cross-branded all-star Battle Royal. No Styles, no McIntyre, no Miz, no Joe, no Black, no Bryan, no Connor from the Ascension, no Bálor, no Owens, no Nakamura. And I know you're sat there at home saying, but Ross, those people you've just mentioned there, they have their own storylines to contend with in a minute, but so do half the people in that picture there, so that's no excuse. Top 10 cross-branded some star Battle Royal, Paul. So according to Paul Heyman, who was having a laugh at Seth Rollins' expense. Seth walked into Extreme Rules as Becky Lynch has stood, but he walked out a gelding, which if you didn't know, is an emasculated horse. So by saying that, Paul, you're still saying that Seth's hung like one, so he's still a winner, isn't he? Here's a direct quote from Corey Graves from last night's show when he said a victory of the utmost importance for the Usos and Ricochet, who had a 6-man 2 out of 3 falls match with nothing on the line, and for Ricochet, a match that involved people he is neither feuding with or aligned with. Momentum! It's not even real, man. The Viking Raiders is not just a name, it's a way of life, says Eric. Well, Eric, if that's the case, what's the way of life of a man who was part of the Viking experience? To me, at least, it sounds like you go down to your local Viking spa to get the full works of Viking treatment. You get your nails messed up, you get your teeth painted yellow, you get body odour sprayed all over you to make you smell like an arse. You get a horsehair beard stapled to your face, and then you get taught to do things that I don't want to talk about, because it don't sound very nice, to be honest with you. So to paraphrase here, we have Big Drew McIntyre stood there speaking to Cedric the Goat, and for some reason, Cedric the Goat is pretending he got one over on Big Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon on last week's Raw, even though he clearly didn't. Anyway, basically, Drew said to Cedric, "I'm I'm not gonna disembowel you. That's illegal. But I'm going to eviscerate you. So by saying that, it's clear that Drew McIntyre needs to invest in a dictionary, because I googled what those words mean and the Google dictionary thing told me this. Evisceration is disembowelment, which is, if you didn't know, the removal of internal organs, especially those in the abdominal cavity. It sounds like to me that's how you make haggis. If you've seen haggis, you know what I'm talking about. Made a grave mistake, Corey. And here's yet another direct quote from Corey Graves from last night's Raw when he said Drew almost put his fist through the chest of Drew with that chop. It's an easy mistake to make, really, isn't it? Finn Bálor wearing blue, Intercontinental Champion yesterday, but for some reason he's a Raw superstar on last night's Raw with no explanation whatsoever. Does this even matter anymore? Of course it does not. So what the hell am I doing here? Still, the point stands though, WWE. It shouldn't be so hard to keep track of who is playing for which team. This isn't a game of Football Manager 20 years into the future when Frank Lampard is managing Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Exactly, but you know what I mean. Ah, tits. Hang on a second there now, everybody. The story we have been told over many years at this point in WWE is that Samoa Joe is a fat man. He is a fat man who moves very slowly indeed. He is a fat man who is followed around everywhere he goes, just like all fat men are, by a man with a tuba, playing a tune like... As we all know, he has lost way too many big matches on the main roster by being rolled up and being shocked. Being rolled up, of course, because he's a fat man, and he's slower than a thinner man. How can Samoa Joe look surprised? The same look of surprise on his face every single time the same thing happens. He is obviously insane. Anyway, on last night's Raw, Samoa Joe, the fat man, the slow man, the man who was followed around by another man who was playing a tuba, rolled up the slender and toned and muscular Finn Bálor. And that's not physics. And then the big, massive in-ring re-debut happened, and of course Michael Cole ruined it, because that's what Michael Cole does, everybody. The lights came on, we could clearly see who it was, but one person in the arena, one person alive in the world during last night's Raw couldn't work out who it was, and of course that was Michael Cole, because he was set there going, oh, could it be? I can't believe it. Is it him? Could it be? What's going on? Thank you, Corey Graves, for Christ's sake. Corey Graves is our saviour because he cut out all of Michael Cole's nonsense there by just simply saying, it's Bray Wyatt, it's Bray. But let's take it back to the WTF Moments video from Extreme Rules on Sunday, shall we? But does anybody fancy the sound of Bray Wyatt's Fiend versus Finn Balor's Demon? Because I reckon that's why Finn Bálor had his title taken off him last night, because SummerSlam's coming up, and that's the biggest party of the summer, and that's where all the freaks come out with their masks and body paint on and whatnot. That's another pat on the back for this useless sack of spuds who definitely doesn't work for WWE in any shape or form. But this debut came at a perfect time for the new Bray Wyatt, because your boy Finn Bálor has apparently asked for a bit of time off from WWE, something the company have granted. So good for them. Finally they've realised that these superstars are just humans and they need time to recharge the batteries sometimes. It took your bloody time, didn't it? So WWE, just make sure one thing happens between now and SummerSlam, where we're surely going to see the new Bray Wyatt against your boy Finn Bálor. Explain to us why your boy Finn Bálor thinks he can rock up to SummerSlam as the normal Finn Bálor and not the demon Finn Bálor, thinking he can still beat Bray, even though he surely can't, can he? Unless he's the unbeatable demon. Just explain why he thinks he can do it as the normal man. We are booked into this hotel, Mr. Innkeeper, as Mr. and Mrs. 24/7 champion, because if we were booked in as Mr. and Mrs. Maverick, people would work out we're here. He does know that people don't actually think he's hornswoggled, doesn't he? They are no longer professional wrestlers. They are now fully bona fide narrators, which is what we all need in the wrestling world today, isn't it? Yeah. But the question has to be asked after yet another week of pointlessness from the Street Profits. Yes, it was entertaining, but what did they actually do? Why did this call-up have to happen now when there was clearly no plans for them? What the hell's going on? Every single thing that comes out of Maria Kanellis' mouth is a WTF moment. But holy balls, Mike Kanellis tapped out by Becky Lynch, emasculated by his own wife bare times, and now defeated by Zack Ryder after one move. Zack Ryder in a squash match where he is the one doing the squashing. Can somebody come and check my pulse because I think I'm dead? Mago, 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 mago. And next up we have Michael Cole claiming the Lucha House Party aren't they so fun? Ha ha! Have been together for a number of years in WWE. Now obviously because they are just so meaningless and just so meh, it feels like the Lucha House Party have been a thing for many years in WWE. But let me tell you, you might be shocked to hear those three there got together after the Greatest Royal Rumble last spring. That's it, just over a year. Oh, I know that meme applies. And next up we have Seth Rollins being a hypocrite by claiming Brock Lesnar doesn't deserve to be Universal Champion. He won the Money in the Bank ladder match. He cashed it in when he was allowed to. I see no rules being broken here, Seth, you loser. It was different when you did the exact same thing, wasn't it, you twat? And then he has to let the world know that Becky Lynch is going to be okay. Like she'd been in a car crash or something. Have I missed something that happened at Extreme Rules? As far as I saw, Becky Lynch took a finishing move from Big Baldy Bastard Baron Corbin in the middle of a WWE ring. Yes, it might have hurt a bit more than Becky's used to because Big Baldy Bastard Baron Corbin, as useless as he is a massive, thick, sexy tattooed man. But for Seth to stand there on last night's Raw to pretend that Becky, after that one move, is in intensive care is absolute bollocks. Anyway, WWE, judging by the two promos that aired during last night's Raw, I thought we pretending that move from Big Baldy Bastard Baron Corbin to Becky Lynch didn't happen at all. What happened there? Corey Graves was way too excited to see Drake Maverick and Drake Maverick's wife consummate their marriage. I pay subscriptions for stuff like this, he shouted as Carmella drowned herself. You've got a dirty bastard, Carmella, there's no going back now. So Michael Cole is talking us through the Raw Women's Championship picture before that fatal four-way took place on last night's show, and he has to mention, of course, that Natalya defeated Naomi for the title at SummerSlam a couple of years ago. Haha, cool. Different title, mate. I mean, you might as well be, because as we all know, Vince McMahon holds a pinfall victory over God. That's a real thing that happened. No, I've seen all the commotion online, and because I'm a gobby bastard, I'm going to put my 2 penneth in here. 24 minutes for that fatal four-way women's match on last night's Raw was too long. There was too many rest holds, there was too much opportunity, too many low points in the match for the crowd to voice their displeasure. The match itself was fine, it was just way too long. There you go. Did Natalya pick up somebody else's script? Where the hell did that come from last night? All we've heard from her for so long is, "Hey you guys, I like cats." And now she's being all catty and disrespectful and whatnot. Natty being catty. Haha. But when you look at the promo written down on a sheet of paper that happened on last night's Raw, it really does look like Natalya picked up the first page of verbiage, which was intended for her, then somewhere on the line, somebody else's promo got mixed up with hers, so the second page didn't quite match up. It started with Natalya saying, "Hello, I can't wait to face my Becky Lynch in my home country of Canada. Woo, isn't it going to be exciting, guys?" But then all of a sudden, Natalya was like, "Pow, Becky, you be a bitch. You're bad at doing the sex, you, and your hair's massive and orange and greasy, and you're a bitch as well." Woof. Dolph Ziggler, of all people in WWE today, was throwing shade at Goldberg. Apparently, Dolph Ziggler's defeat to Kevin Owens at Extreme Rules on Sunday was Goldberg bad. Dolph Ziggler, quite frankly, you are the last condom in the bedroom that has been reused so many times, pal. You are done, new gimmick needed. So after you won the US title, after you relinquished the US title, after you entered the Royal Rumble at number 30 and lasted 2 minutes before getting pissed over the top rope, before you got shafted by Drew McIntyre, and after you lost every single big match to Kofi Kingston before getting defeated by that fat useless bastard called Kevin Owens after one move, you are done. Go away. You're actually Goldberg bad. Next. NXT or WWE, or maybe even Brock Lesnar's first challenger when Brock is WWE Champion on the new SmackDown on Fox. there's the Genesis. By God, smack my ass and call me Gertrude, how lucky did they get? First of all, am I the only person in the world who finds it a little tiny bit funny that WWE couldn't even get on the proper stage to present their award? And secondly of all, we have Seth Rollins reading out, and the SB goes too. That's just Adam Paci's voice. Anyway, it's the big dog, it's Roman Reigns, and luckily, Roman Reigns is stood right next to him. That could have been new levels of awkward turtle, shaky palm tree. My man. Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men. Beef! Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men. Beef! Vince McMahon likes large men of a sweaty variety who aren't his own son because his son is a massive twat. And next up we have something that the one and only, no it's not Ricochet, it's Bryan Alvarez. He's pointed something out that has to be considered a WTF moment because just under 2 years ago, Brock Lesnar was the Universal Champion, AJ Styles was the US Champion, New Day were the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions, Shane McMahon, who of course is the best professional wrestler in the world today, he wasn't back then, but the point still stands. He was in a feud with Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, as we saw on last night's Raw, all the way back just under 2 years ago, was also in a feud with The Miz. And that's weird, isn't it? In going forward, just under 2 years, we've actually gone back in time. Just under 2 years. And we end this episode of WTF Moments with something that I need to take a seat for because it's that much of a shocking thing I might faint when I say it. And that is the fact that we made it through a WWE show last night without seeing Shane McMahon in the flesh once. We've actually made it. This is what heaven must look like. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us.